As housing and other infrastructure in Nigeria approach a crisis point, there is a dire need to pool funds into housing and real estate development. High taxes, lack of access to public markets, and lack of large-scale mobilization of investments into the real estate sector has made a case for the introduction of Real Estate Investments Trust into the Nigerian economy. In simple terms, a REIT investment is a pool of funds strictly invested into income-earning properties of different classes, like private properties, commercial properties, industrial properties, and housing estate development in partnership with governments, which are managed in trust by an experienced corporation.
Real estate investment trust is a form of a mutual fund. What you do with a real estate investment fund is that a very reliable company, whether in the real estate construction business or sometimes a financial services company that is very good and experienced, oftentimes in retail estate, will roll out a package in which investors are asked to pull in a hybrid money that runs sometimes into several billions of naira, put this together from various investors who appreciate value investing, and when this fund is put together, they are invested in specific projects, real estate projects, whether residential or commercial premises, that the promoter or the issuer has decided to invest this money. And of course, these are verifiable projects.
In a country like Nigeria with a huge housing deficit, REIT has greater chances of returns on investments due to huge untapped market potentials. This remains the key reason why brokers express strong delight towards the return of REITs to the market. Far more interesting must be the attraction the UPDC PLC's IPO offers advocates of REITs to justify the use and reverse the perception from previous experiences.
Based on the facts that they put on the offer document, it's going to be a successful offer.
It's a good offer. It provides investors with the opportunity to diversify their portfolios into properties, into real estate, without actually buying the bricks and blocks that we witness when people want to build their own houses.
The offer is okay and it's good. And then look at the price, 10 naira. And then the minimum unit is 10,000 units, 100,000. So it's just 100,000 naira because it's 10,000 the minimum units you can buy in a multiple of 1,000. So for an investor now, just look for 100,000. So with the 100,000, you can have 10,000 of that offer. And I think it's 7 the return per annum, maybe 7.something% per annum. So it's a welcome development. It's good. It's a good investment. Yeah.
So it's really good to help investors. Most importantly, those retail investors who cannot afford to build their own house or even rent out a room. So you share in what the UPDC has put together in form of REIT to actually help this investors class. So it's a good development. Honestly, I commend them for that.
A company with excellent track records in delivering steady and consistent returns to both investors and shareholders.
UPDC has proved itself, even before this real estate investment fund, that look, it's a very solid company. Any day, it's a 4x4 company, as you call it. It's a 4x4 company to the extent that the fundamentals are right. And doing an IPO at this particular point is also in tune with what the federal government is talking about. Now, if federal government is pushing along housing, there's somebody comes with a real estate with a very solid portfolio and solid pedigree and goodwill and experience that UPDC has. I'm sure they built a number of estates. I'm sure they built a number of very solid structures everywhere. But as I said, UPDC is not a Coca-Cola company. It's not MTN, where you see the billboards everywhere. So you have to be a value investor to see that, look, this is a company you need to invest in because the returns are always there, no matter whichever, any day, anytime.
UPDC PLC is a foremost Nigerian real estate company with good, impressive performances. The company acquires, develops, sells, leases and manages choice residential and commercial real estate in Nigeria. The company has been operating in the sector for 16 years of sterling record.
And of course, you're talking about a company that has a track record. Now, UPDC, when it was formed out of UAC some years ago, and many people thought it was never going to survive. But that company has proved at a particular point in time, UPDC was doing far better than UAC Nigeria PLC, paying better dividend. In terms of share price, UPDC was far better than its parent company, which is UACN. Now, because the issue of housing in Nigeria is key. You need real estate that will address your growing population. Now, you are growing your middle class extensively. Right now, Nigeria's middle class is expanding as soon as your population grows, because the government has been able to put in place certain macroeconomic policies that is helping. Now, these people who are growing and increasing the level of income as your GDP per capita grows, you need to provide housing. These people need to have places like ShopRite to go shopping and have some recreation and enjoy their weekends. Now, that is increasing by numbers. Now, where would you find the money to build such facilities? Therefore, you need a real estate investment fund. And again, you find an economy that is attracting more foreign development, foreign direct investment. Now, you have more foreigners coming into Nigeria. They're not going to live in Alagbado, for example, or in Ajegunle. So you need to provide some top-rate real estate for them, estates in which they will reside. Then you need to build world-class accommodation, whether they are hotels or guest houses, for these individuals. And there are companies that come to Nigeria, whether they're Chinese, who are investing in your railways, or they're investing in mining, or they're investing in your oil sector, or they're investing in agriculture. For example, if you look at Kwara State, Jigawa State, you have more South Africans and Zambians, people coming in to invest in your agriculture. So you need facilities to house these people who hitherto enjoys very good accommodation in their home countries. Okay? So beyond the ordinary Nigerians, you find that as soon as you begin to increase the level of your foreign direct investment and your economy space grows, you can't grow your economy, your GDP at about 6.6% on average over a 3, 4, 5 year period. You need real estate to take care of it. It's not enough to eat food and drink. These guys would need real estate, and they need good ones. So the more of this, the better. But it's better again if a company that has a track record comes up with a real estate investment trust fund. So it's not enough, it's not just an all-commerce market. Now, I have more confidence in a company like UPDC than those mortgage banks that attempted it many years ago. And you find that those mortgage banks are dead because they don't have what it takes. But UPDC has what it takes, considering the parent company and its track record, to be able to roll out a real estate investment fund. Because UPDC is not just raising this money as an offshoot of a commercial bank just to bring in deposit and off they disappear. And that was what happened many years ago, in which mortgage banks just try to provide what you see now, and they raise money for the commercial banks, and they eventually collapses. But UPDC is a real estate company, and it has no other business than to provide real estate. It's like raising money by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac in the United States. These are mortgage finance companies. But in this instance, UPDC is in the business of property development. Now, that is putting your money where your mouth is. And if you look at historically what UPDC has provided in terms of returns to shareholders, return on investment, you find it very, very good. But that story doesn't come out too well because you're essentially an oil nation. And because, again, the government hasn't provided necessary support. Now, if you have your National Housing Fund, your mortgage industry working well, and the government provide relevant support for that sector, you find a company like UPDC in a country of 160 million people growing shares aggressively beyond Nigerian breweries or Nestle. Because after food, clothing is shelter. They are the three basic needs of every human on earth. So after you've eaten, you've consumed food from Honeywell or Dangote Sugar, the next thing is, where do I sleep tonight?
So we encourage our clients to participate and subscribe to the REITs. If you look at property markets all over the world, it's indexed to inflation. So As the inflation adjusts, the property market will go with inflation. So it could be, it will be a hedge against inflation in the long run. So we encourage all our clients to participate in the REITs.
I look at being a developing country, real estate is one of the projects that's keeping it moving now. And then investors might see it as an opportunity that, okay, let me just invest. Maybe you don't have enough money to build your own property, but you can join up with a company that has property, like you are investing in real estate.
So it's going to create a two-way, two-way investment opportunity for the REIT holders, especially those who are holding the unit. If you cannot build a house yourself, you partake in the house or an estate that has been built by UPDC in this case.
When it comes to investing, nothing will pay off more than educating yourself. Do the necessary research, study, and analyze before making any investment decisions.